Well, hello again, and welcome back to another video. Well, Easter is over for a couple of weeks ago, and I came back from the Show Must Go On concert festival thingy with almost 2,000 pictures. But I'm gonna show some of them now. Not all of them, not all of them, fortunately. Excuse me, that was a mouthful. But anyway, I'm gonna show a little bit of the performers that was up on stage doing their thing, and for some of them, actually, it was the first time ever they performed in front of a live audience. So that was quite the moment for them. But anyway, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what did I use. Well, first of all, I have to think that I think I have to give a shout out and a really big thank you to T.B.Photo, Jared Poland of T.B.Photo, the Philadelphia photographer with the big fro. Well, if it wasn't for his free guide to capturing motion in low light situations, this might not have become anything at all. So if you haven't checked out his channel, do yourself a favor and do it. I'm gonna put a link in the description to the channel site, yeah, that guide was, I think he actually, after I did the show, he actually updated it with some new features. So yeah, anyway, it was quite the savior to be able to read up on that before doing the show. I think it became a lot better than what it could have been if I hadn't read it. Excuse me. But anyway, it was a really nice show altogether, and I used the Nikon D7200, as you might have guessed, and some of the lenses I used are actually lined up here in this little arc. It was the Nikkor 35 to 105, and what else? Well, I used the Samyang fisheye for a little while, and I think I also had a 30 to 135 millimeter as well. I think it was this one here. So these two were the ones I used primarily: a push-pull zoom and a twist zoom. In my opinion, I prefer actually the twist zoom, but the push-pulls, when it comes to image quality, I can't fault them really. I think they're really great for what they are and what they do. But anyway, I'm gonna show some of the pictures that I took here from some of the bands. Keep in mind, I didn't photograph all of them. I wasn't there professionally. I wasn't paid for any of it, so I photoed what I thought was some cool artists and what I thought I wanted to try to catch. One of the first bands, which I'm going to show some pictures of while I'm talking, was Moth. Moth was like a kind of a heavy metal style band. I'm not really into heavy metal myself, but these guys were actually it was quite the stage show actually. Yeah, they were great and they were good. Well, during this is Friday. It was Friday and Saturday. So Friday it was Moth, the heavy metal band, and after that came up a big band, more or less. They were called Brooklyn Soul Stew, a kind of a blues R&B band. So they had quite a few members on the stage, so it was more or less impossible to get all of them in the same shot at the same time. But it swung quite great, and yeah, it worked good actually. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the settings I used. When you read the PDF that Jared sends you if you subscribe to his newsletter, it kind of tells you that I think I actually followed it a little bit, or rather quite good actually. It gave me good results, I think at least, or as good as I could possibly get with my particular level of experience. I can tell you right away, I started to shoot pictures in, I think it was December 2015, so I just have months of experience, not years at all, just a couple of months. So yeah, shutter speed, I used the camera on complete manual mode. Shutter speed I had to keep around 80 to 125, 1/80th to 1/125th of a second. When it comes to ISO, I had to keep it around between 4 and 5,000 to get some usable images. To not use too much, get too much noise in the pictures. Even though Lightroom 6 and I think Lightroom CC has some really powerful noise reduction tools. But anyway, so I stayed around 35 to 105 millimeters. I didn't stand way up front of the stage. I wanted to be able to zoom in a little bit and be a little bit more inconspicuous and so on. So I was about say 2 meters, 2 to 1 meter away from the stage. And when it came to aperture, I kind of used since most of my zoom lenses, I don't have any 2.8 constant aperture lenses or anything like that yet, I might add. Most of them are, variable aperture depending on zoom. So what I actually used was, I try to keep somewhere between a minimum of, or maximum of 4.5 and a minimum of f8. So I was in that range. I chose 4.5 because both of these lenses, that's their minimum aperture when you're completely zoomed in. Both of them have it, so 4.5, that's the default I put the camera on when it came to aperture. Well, when we moved on to Saturday, this is when we had a little bit of a surprise. On the roster for the performance that was gonna perform, there was one that wasn't really announced. They came in last minute, and it was Electric Religions, a really great rock band that had their first release party on Friday. So they actually went up on stage on Saturday and played this concert, and I think I got some really great pictures. I can tell you right away, when I stood in the crowd and started to take picture of them, I thought that this was something special. The same goes for what was their name? Mass Diversity, another kind of a funky R&B with a little bit of rock influences. Really great funk band. I wouldn't say funk really 100%, but R&B I would say. It was very hard to categorize their music, Mass Diversity, but both Mass Diversity and Electric Religion, of the bands that I saw, keep in mind I didn't see all of them, but those were two of the bands that I thought, here I might be capturing something that is quite special, at least in my mind. And I'm going to put some links in the descriptions below to, if I can find anything on YouTube or anything other on social media about these two groups, because I think they might be worth looking into. But that's pretty much it. And then there were, on Friday, there were two young women who came up on stage. They were more, like singer-songwriters and, acoustic guitars and so on. And they were really brilliant. I think that some parts when these two got up, they did one set each, so they weren't performing together, they were one after the other. But both of them, some of their songs, I think that some members in the audience actually started to tear up because it was very great. They had really great songwriting skills. But anyway, we're here for photography and not so much about the concert. But all in all, this was a very great and really brilliant, I would say, learning experience to photograph in low light situations. And once again, I can't recommend enough Jared Poland's free guide to capturing motion in low light situation. It was a savior. It was really usable information in it, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who is new to photography and want to shoot in low light situations. It was really recommended. So all in all, these pictures. One other thing, a little bit of a mantra I've been hearing from Jared. If you listen to Raw Talk, if you look at any of his YouTube videos, he is a really strong propagator of never cropping your images if it's not, absolutely necessary. But he says himself, he very seldomly crops, and I actually had that in the back of my head when I did this. So most of the pictures that I've taken, all the of 2000 somewhat of them, I didn't crop. And my thinking behind it was that because I was up in the ISO, pushing it to 5000 even on the D7200. Keep in mind, most of these lenses are full frame. These are from the 90s, most of them, except for the kit lens, of course, and the Samyang. But most of these are from the 90s and even older. Some of them might be even from the 80s. This is from the 80s. I know that's from the 80s, and this might even be from the 70s. But anyway, so all of these are made for 35mm film, so you get that crop factor 1.5 on the Nikon D7200 because it's not a full frame sensor camera. So with the situation and my gear that I had at my disposal, you had to have the ISO bumped quite a bit, and that made you more aware that you had to fill the frame with your subject and not get so much on the edges that you had to crop later in post-production. Because when you crop a picture and you have a high ISO, I realized, is that the grain structure and the noise in the photos will become more and more prevalent if you have to crop a photo and you have a high ISO. So I can really recommend to have that mantra in the back of your head that shoot your pictures as you want them finally, in the final, frame them as you want them in final. So that will actually aid you in not having so much noise in the picture. So yeah, all in all, as I stated before, it was a great experience. And well, like, comment, subscribe, and share, as most people nowadays say on YouTube. So put a link. I'm gonna put some links in the comments below, and I'll also now want to hear from you. What do you think about this? And do you have any experience in capturing motion in low light situation? But until next time, just see you around, and thank you for watching, and peace out. Thank you.